Syringes and bottles, plastic. This person said, hey, and I looked up and I see this person standing there, and I mean, I screamed at the top of my lungs. It was just involuntary. I was so afraid, you know, and I grab her and he goes, this guy goes, no, I'm just bringing you a blanket. I'm just bringing you a blanket, you know, and I'm like, okay, thank you. I mean, but for the next hour, I was just trying to get my heart rate back down again.
I think our mental capacity is really slipping. Ken's never gone 6 hours without checking the weather forecast. When he's in
a meeting by calling the roll. All right. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Present.
Councilmember Koretz.
Present.
Councilmember Hutt.
Present.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Rodriguez. Absent. 4 members present and a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, and thank you we're joined by the clerk and representative of the city attorney's office. Per section 209 of the charter on censure, the conduct and remarks that were made by 3 of our colleagues are in opposition to our high standards, which we hold ourselves to with regard to our conduct in the public and as a representative of the people of Los Angeles. Today's Censure Committee hearing is to deliberate on the question of censure for 2 current members of the council and 1 former member of the council. We'll begin with public comment, and I'll ask Mr. Fauble to read the instructions into the record, and as of now, we have 1 person on the queue.
So the instructions are quite simple. It's a special meeting, so there's no general public comment, but there are 2 items on the agenda. So you have up to 2 minutes to speak. The only thing we ask is that you stick to the agenda items. And when you're done, we'll let you know. So I think with that, we can take public comment.
All right, we have Mr. Andrew Grabner.
Go ahead. All right. So basically, these are proposals to censure Nuri, Gill, and KDL. Right now, we shouldn't even be having a meeting because they haven't resigned yet, and no resignations, no meetings. But once they do resign, we should be looking into, some way to make it clear their behavior is not acceptable. There should be accountability and reform measures designed to make it so that this kind of thing doesn't happen again, like an independent redistricting commission and a number of stuff. But basically, until then, no resignations, no meetings, shut down this meeting. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. We have 2 items under consideration today. If we could read those items into the record, and then I'll make some comments. Perhaps there'll be questions or comments from members of the committee, and then I believe we can take a vote.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution, Krikorian, Bonin, O'Farrell, Price, Rahman, Koretz, relative to the censure of council members Nuri Martinez, Kevin De Leon, and Gil Cedillo for their conduct and statements during a meeting of October 2021, and the council joining the community in demanding their immediate resignation from the council. Item number 2 is a resolution, Blumenfield, Rodriguez, Price, O'Farrell, relative to the censure pursuant to Charter Section 209 of council members Cedillo, De Leon, and Martinez for their racially insensitive and divisive statements, which constitute a gross failure to conform with and meet the highest standards of personal and professional conduct, even if their actions do not constitute a ground for removal from office under the Charter.
Thank you so much. Before we begin our discussion, I just want to note for the record, we have letters of support from the Central City Association of Los Angeles for support for both motions. We have community impact statements from Council District 1, the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council, the Echo Park Neighborhood Council, the Greater Cypress Park Neighborhood Council, the Historic Highland Park Neighborhood Council. From CD 14, we have the Herman Neighborhood Council and the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. They've requested an amendment. Others who've submitted community impact statements include the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council of CD4, Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council, East Hollywood Neighborhood Council, Elysian Valley Riverside Neighborhood Council, United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council, Pico Neighborhood Council, both in CD10, Westwood Neighborhood Council in CD5, Greater Wilshire Neighborhood Council, CD5, Zapata King Neighborhood Council in CD9, NoHo Neighborhood Council, CDs 2 and 6, Reseda Neighborhood Council, CD3, Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council in CD14, and I believe that's it. So we have a number of impact statements from neighborhood councils from around the city of LA. I believe Mr. Bonin is present with us. He intends to submit the full audio and transcript of the tapes to the council file. I'll open it up for questions and comments. Just to note, we're joined by our CLA and a representative of the city attorney's office. So members? We've been joined by Ms. Rodriguez as well. All right, seeing no discussion from members, I will make a special effort in the spirit of transparency to request any comment from any of the council offices 6, 1, or 14, if there are representatives here that would like to offer testimony before we call the roll on these two items. All right. And last call for questions or comments from the members. If not, I'll move both items and ask for a second. Second by Mr. Koretz. If there are no further discussion, we can call the roll. Ms. Rodriguez, yes.
I believe there were also some actions that were engaged in, and my curiosity is this ad hoc process one that we will honor with respect to any other activities, engagements that were included therein with the recordings that suggested that perhaps there were other participants engaged in the same interventions with respect to redistricting. Because I think while clearly it warrants and merits this conversation, I think we should be with the goal of ultimate transparency, really reflect on all that was engaged in during the redistricting process to help assure that we have greater transparency going forward. So I think that's also a relevant part of this conversation that while I recognize the actions and activities that were caught on tape, there were several comments that were also included that reflected that perhaps there was far greater implications that I think we should all be concerned about.
I think that's right. I don't know if that's an amendment, but I do think it's duly noted that this is what we have before us now is not likely the last of it. I think all of us agree that we'll have aggressive follow-up on anything that comes out after this hearing. Again, so if there are no questions or comments, it's been moved. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if my mic is working, is it?
You want to use mine? Mine's working.
Okay. Yes, it is working fine. First of all, I wanted to know from staff, is this body able to censure a member of the City Council who's already resigned?
So it's not entirely clear, right? The council rule talks about council members, and Ms. Martinez is no longer a council member. So I don't think I can give you a definitive answer. I think you should make the recommendation that you want, and it can get further discussed at council if you wish.
I would make that recommendation. I don't know if I need a second for that to be a motion, but
I think your prior motion would have already covered that, or Mr. Harris Dawson's motion would have covered it.
all right. And I don't know if this is more of a suggestion or not, but I wonder whether the council should be looking at proposing a charter amendment to expand our authority to expel a council member for offenses such as those before us today.
Well, that's not in front of us today, but it's certainly something that the council could consider later on by a separate motion, for example.
So the council has already adopted a motion to establish an ad hoc reform committee on the charter, so that would certainly be something that we can bring up to the ad hoc committee when it is created.
All right, I'd certainly suggest that. And obviously, we've all been through the same thing. We've seen and heard the terrible comments that our colleagues have made, running the gamut from racist statements to manipulating our redistricting process. I think the city's in shock. I know my staff has discussed this, and they're all reeling and stunned, as I'm sure everyone else's staffs are. Unfortunately, this is a reflection on all of us, whether we want it to be or not. Many people in the public think, well, this just happened to be a conversation with these three random council members. But everyone is manipulating things behind the scenes, and everyone's making racist comments about the residents of Los Angeles and each other and their families. And I want to just say for the record, this is not true. This is not who the city is. This is not who this city council is. And I think it's important for this committee and all of us to get that message out to the public. And just because you're elected to the city council, it doesn't automatically paint you with this same terrible brush. People are individuals, and we heard the statements of individuals behind closed doors that we never would have wanted to believe existed. They obviously did, but this is not the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you so much, Mr. Koretz. And with that, seeing no other comments from members of this committee, I'll ask the clerk to read the 2 items into the record and call the roll.
Thank you. Is it the committee's intention to suspend Council Rule number 88 in order to adopt each of the resolutions?
That's the intention of the chair. Do we need a vote for that?
Thank you. We can take the vote altogether.
Okay.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Koretz. Aye. Hutt.
Aye.
Lee. Aye. Rodriguez.
Aye.
5 ayes. Both items are approved as amended.
All right. Is there any other business before us?
The desk is clear.
Excellent. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, members.